West Flame. I make my own. What he said.
Yeah, but I'm going to still try to get him into a bolo.
Bolo, that's
Yeah,
next.
he's not said bolo ties. You know this.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna get the Reverend a bolo tie.
He gonna move to bolos. That's next.
Uh-huh.
That's next. Hey.
I ask that you silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate. I'll ask our honorable mayor to lead us in the prayer, and I'll ask Councilman Talaferro to lead us in the pledge.
Shall we pray? Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the people who serve your city. May you give us the wisdom to make decisions that will be pleasing in your sight and beneficial to the people of Shreveport. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All face the flag of the greatest country on earth, and as we say our pledge, let us be mindful of the sacrifices of our MIAs and POWs. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Taylor. Present. Councilman Brooks.
Here.
Councilman Talaferro.
Here, ma'am.
Councilman Butcher.
Here.
Councilman Jackson.
I'm here.
Councilman Green.
I'm here.
And Councilwoman Bowman.
Here. Present.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting October 17, 2024, administrative conference meeting Monday, October 21st, 2024, and the city council meeting Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024? Been moved by Councilwoman Bowman, second by Councilman Brooks. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Councilman Brooks.
That passes with 7.
Does any council members have any award recognition of distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to, I don't have any awards or distinguished guests, but I would like to bring up the distinguished Mr. Alan Clark and the police chief. I have a question for him, if I could, right now.
Okay.
Mr. Clark, I'm sure you're aware, and the mayor and the CAO are aware of the issue that we've got going on, and I've brought Councilman Jackson up to speed on this. This has been something that's been going on since before the district lines changed, and he kind of inherited it, so I've been kind of running the ball on this. But the issue we're having on Chinquapin with the complaints that we're getting, I think the mayor, you've received several letters and emails, and I have as well. I talked to you and Mr. Dark and the police chief about some surveillance. Has that been done yet? Do we know anything further on that?
Not to my knowledge.
So we have not put the surveillance out there yet?
I've been trying to get in touch with them to see if that had happened, because we're anxiously wanting to resolve this problem, because it's been going on so long and it's affected so many of the neighbors in the subdivision. But we've always been advised that we did not have enough evidence in order to file charges against the owner of the property. I forget his name.
My concern is it's the calls are a lot, the emails are a lot, and I think that with all the surveillance that we've got, there's no way that you can send staff over there to sit and see when the comings and goings are happening. And from what I understand, it's late at night, early in the morning, and you can only go off of what one. There's two sides to every story, so I would like for us to get some eyes on it as soon as possible, because we've got people that are saying they're leaving the city if we don't, and I just hate for us to have that. So if we could get some surveillance on that and then be able to close this out very quickly, I would really appreciate it.
As soon as we get some surveillance, we will transfer the information to the city attorney and request prosecution occurs.
Okay, that's all I wanted. Thank y'all.
Mr. Clark? Mr. Clark? Councilwoman Bowman?
Good evening, Mr. Clark. While you're here,
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a couple of questions for
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
When we have these neighborhood participation meetings, are y'all ever present for these meetings?
After we review the process of the neighborhood participation plan meetings, we concluded that it's better many times if we are not there, because it gives the applicant an opportunity without us to address the citizens that would be impacted by whatever they're doing. it's worked perfectly, and we've not had but very few clashes between neighbors and applicants. And that was why we decided not to attend. Because it will come to us, and then it will come to the MPC board, and in most cases, it will come to you also. That's an opportunity without any authority, without any laws being instilled in the application. It can be just a meeting where citizens and an applicant just can discuss, and then they can bring those discussions back to us where the citizen asks for additional things, and we ensure that those things are part of the application process.
Okay. Respectfully, I'm gonna have to disagree, because once we had this neighborhood meeting in my district last Thursday, it was no representation from the MPC. You had the developers from Texas. You had constituents that had concerns. There were zoning questions that was not to my knowledge, and it also wasn't to the developer's knowledge. So it's budget time, and we fund the MPC. We need you to be there. I'm going to also request that someone from economic development is there. Because if we want to sell our city and make things happen, when our citizens have questions, we need adequate information that we haven't had. So maybe that's some of the reasons why nothing from the MPC is actually approved. And my question is for you, how do you know how the constituents feel if you're not there or your staff is not there?
We get a report from the person that's applying, summarizing everything that happened at the NPP meetings. And many times those reports are not favorable, but it gives us an opportunity to work with that applicant to address the concerns that the citizens have given, because there's no decisions made at those meetings. It's just an opportunity to make a presentation to the citizens. And once that happens and the information comes back to us, that's when we get involved. That's when we talk to the applicant. That's when we share the zoning requirements with the applicant if they've been met. They haven't been met, allowing them to do additional things and giving them options of things that they can do. It's just a feeling, and in all due respect, that if we allow that conversation to take place without us, because we got plenty of time to take whatever actions are required for the application, it gives that applicant an opportunity to engage with the citizens. And like you were saying, this is an applicant from Texas that knew very little or nothing about Shreveport, so it gave them an opportunity to have that conversation, make that presentation, and report back to us. And we will have a public hearing where all the citizens that are involved may come and get all the answers to our zoning processes that there are. So nothing happens after those meetings other than a opportunity. And the reason we did this, I'll just share it with you. The reason we decided to do this was to stop, eliminate citizens getting in an uproar, coming down to this chamber and raising all type of sand. But we still, and I stress this, and I ask you for your indulgence, but because I feel like it's working, we still feel that this is a good opportunity. We have some success stories. I remember the story about the apartment with Councilman Butcher, and we were both there, and he realized that it would not have been good. It's not good for us to come back, so we didn't go back again.
Right. I'm not a scary council person, and I'm not a no council person. But I want to be honest with you, the meeting was out of control. I don't know what kind of report you could have received because the developers didn't even have the opportunity to show their presentation. It was an out of control meeting. We want economic development, but we need zoning issues at these meetings that your department takes care of. So I'm going to ask the mayor and my council members to meet with your MPC board. Some changes need to happen. If we want to see economic development, things need to change in this city. The MPC is not working. It's not friendly to the constituents. It's not friendly to the developers. It has to be a change. If we want to see things happen in Shreveport, that's number one. The MPC needs to change.
And Mr. Clark, I concur with Councilwoman Boatman in reference to being present at the meeting. At those meetings, I try to attend as many ones that are happening in my district, and there's nothing like getting the information firsthand. And a lot of times, they don't know that they're able to write a letter for or against. So just being there, not saying you have to spearhead the meeting, but just being there as a person of expertise is what's needed in the meeting. Because a lot of times questions come up that a council person doesn't have the expertise to be able to answer. So we want to lean back on a representation of the MPC to be able to answer those zoning questions. People get frustrated when they just have lack of information or incorrect information. We want to provide as much accurate information at those meetings as possible to alleviate any future frustration.
And I would suggest that possibly the NPP program then doesn't work, and possibly we need to stop doing the NPPs, because that was the opportunity from this previous council where people had development going on in their communities and were not aware of the development, and that was an opportunity for them to be aware of what was happening before they actually applied to the MPC. We thought it was an excellent engagement. Evidently you don't, but we thought it was an excellent engagement and excellent opportunity for applicants to become acquainted with the citizens that they will be dealing with if the development is approved. It's no guarantees, no promises. If a meeting gets out of control, we would not be able to get it back into control, because that's why we made the decisions that we made. We've gone to a lot of meetings that got out of control and where we were just personally attacked. But we thought that it would be an easier process for the applicant to just talk to the citizens. But evidently you don't believe that.
Mr. Clark, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
I don't go to them typically, and my reasoning for that is I believe that is well, let me back up. I don't like them. The ones that I've been to, I don't like the way they're handled. I mean, I've been to 3 or 4 just like yours, and that's when I stopped going, because I felt like that I was in the middle of something. And Mr. Clark can attest, we had a room of 150 people. It was hot, and all they did was gang up on the developer. And we ended up having to moderate the meeting more so than actually participate and answer questions. So I don't know, the ones that I've been to are, I just don't find them to be productive. I understand the premise, and I know some other council members wanted it, but I don't find them to be that productive. And the ones that I have gone to, and the reason I don't go is because I want it to go through. I don't come to MPC meetings. I don't come and sit on the front row at MPC, because I feel like that is the mechanism that we have in place, and that is kind of a blind mechanism for the process to work out without council members having to be right in the middle of it. Now, I take constituents' calls, and I talk to them about it, and I read the minutes, and I do everything that I should, but I don't really want to be on the front row as a council member listening to the MPC debate something that I'm going to end up having to debate down the road. I'll let them be that process for us. I don't know what the solution to the problem is. I do think that there needs to be, and I've been there, Councilwoman Bowman. It's not fun when you've got 100 people yelling and screaming, and you're trying to, because I just don't know how productive they really are.
Right. Well, I enjoyed being at the meeting because I was there to hear one-on-one with my constituents. I want to be their voice. So I want to be there. I just think the meeting needs to be, we need security there. It needs to be order in anything we do. We can still have our conversations whether we agree or disagree, but you actually needed security there. And it was nothing against me, it was against the developers.
That was our problem.
So it's very important that we are there to hear what our constituents and what their needs are, the reason why they don't want this development in their area. So I agree, we should all be there, but it should be in an orderly manner. So I'm going to be at these meetings. I'm going to request your office be there. I'm going to request the Economic Development Office be there, and we got to do things different just so we can answer the questions to the people that we serve. We all get paid. We all signed up for this. We need to be there whether we like it or not. yea or nays, we need to be there and explain to them exactly what's going on in their neighborhood. It's our city, we signed up for it, we need to be there. Because the constituents on Wildwood had a whole bunch of questions that I could not answer. The airport developer needs to be there because they had some airport issues, want to know, hey, the planes fly over the regulations. I couldn't answer those questions. So all of us need to be there. We signed up for it. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to talk to you about some changes we need because we can't bring people in the city or want them to do business if we don't have answers.
And I will share one last time, if I may. We're in contact with the people that are coming into the city. We're in contact, we're notifying the neighborhoods about the process that things are going through. We are available to answer any questions that they may have. As I tried to share with you all, this was just an opportunity. And we've had many successful MPPs. This was just an opportunity to come and share what is being proposed. And if people are against it or for it, it means nothing. They're just coming to share what's being proposed. And then the next step is when we get involved and when we have public hearings and we answer all the questions and citizens are notified that a public hearing is being conducted. So at that point, they get all of the answers that they're interested in having. And then they come before you and we're here and we provide all the answers after that they need are answering. We will do whatever is required upon us, but we believe that the way that we're conducting these meetings are the best way.
Mr. Clark, again, just the same thing about the liquor in the neighborhood is telling us they're streaming. We need to listen to the constituents. You have these meetings where you want to put more alcohol in our neighborhoods. Councilwoman Taylor, we've explained to you, no more alcohol. You got to get an understanding. It's not working. Respectfully, it's not working. People came today and said, our city is not business friendly. We got to do something different. We can't do the same thing and want different results. I'm telling you as a council member, I like you as a man, but I'm telling you, it was out of control. It's not working.
And I admire and respect each one of you. We have been constantly looking at the MPP process, trying to modify it, trying to come up with better solutions that may work even better. The MPP meeting, unfortunately, based on what you're saying, just may not be necessary.
It is necessary. I never said it wasn't necessary because I talked to some constituents. I didn't know they had some concerns about this development. So it's very much necessary. But I think for you to make a decision, if your MPC is going to approve or disapprove, your board needs to be there and listen to these constituents because how do you make your decision? So many times they come to the council meeting because they want to know, how did you make your decision? You're not there to hear their concerns. You might get, if you call the MPC office, sometimes you don't even get a phone call. I'm being real and honest with you. We are not friendly. The MPC we get a lot of calls about the MPC. Some changes need to happen.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Brooks, go ahead.
I want this on the record, and I'm glad the media is here. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Clark does not work for you, correct?
He does not work for me directly. He works for the MPC board.
The board of directors of the MPC.
That's correct.
That's correct. He does not work for the city council either. Correct. So all these complaints we get, and people don't believe me when I tell them that. They're like, well, you can do something about it, Councilman Brooks. I cannot. So the Mid-City Motor Hotel meeting, you chose not to send a representative because you thought it was going to be contentious. It was very contentious. I was there. The mayor was there as a neighbor, not as the mayor. Councilman Bowman is correct. Why are we taking all this heat? We literally, I don't think the public knows this, we have zero control over your office. None, except your budget. That's it.
Well,
So-
approving board members.
Well, yeah. So that's all I wanted. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any other council people? Thank you, Mr. Clark. I'm sorry, Mr. Clark?
No, not for you.
Okay, never mind.
No, I just wanted to send out condolences to Councilwoman Taylor and her entire family, which is a part of my family. She had, during a week, she had at least 3 deaths in the family. So we'd just like to let you know that we're praying for you and we send out condolences.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I will say thank you all for all of your phone calls and text messages that you have sent my family. Yes, I have 3 family members who passed in a week and a half, and we have all funerals on Saturday.
Thank you. Does any other council members have any awards, recognition, or distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes? I do want to acknowledge former Councilman Bowman, school board representative. He's in the house, and former city attorney Ron Latier is in the house. So thank you for attending this meeting. Mr. Mayor, do you have any awards, recognition, or distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes?
Really only to welcome Mr. William Sabo, our Economic Development Director, who's now a week on the job.
Yeah, we look forward to your 90-day report, sir. Mr. Mayor, do you have any communications relative to city business?
No, sir.
Reports, does any members have any concerns for
Mr. Harris?
Mr. Harris? Property standards? All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. You get the sachet today. Everyone should have received the revenue collection plan from finance report. Public hearing today, we were required to hold a public hearing on the 2025 proposed budget. The public hearing is now called to order. Does the administration have a presentation?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The proposed 2025 operating budgets for the city total almost $690 million. There are 24 separate operating funds used by the city, as well as a separate capital improvements budget. The largest and most important of those is the general fund, which houses such important activities as police, fire, SPAR, property standards, public works, as well as many other smaller departments. The proposed 2025 general fund budget is a little over $309 million. It is mostly a standstill budget, with the only pay increases being the state-mandated 2% longevity increases given to police and fire. The proposed budget does not change city services in any way that would be noticeable to our citizens. However, as we've advised the council, our sales tax revenue picture for 2024 hasn't been as good as we would have hoped. We're going to recommend to the council that we reduce the budget we proposed by about $4 million to account for the possibility that this trend will continue into 2025. This is only a 1.3% reduction, but that is still a lot. We'll be trying to make those cuts without adversely affecting our public services, and we'll be transparent with our citizens if that isn't possible. This budget, as well as a few others, does not meet every need we've identified. Some of the biggest unfunded needs we have include money to replace police vehicles, fire medic units, and garbage trucks when they need it, and money to repair more of our streets. Those are big, important expenses that take money that is hard to find. One other really large fund is for water and sewer. Our proposed 2025 budget for water and sewer is more than $170 million. As it stands right now, that budget does not require a utility rate increase for 2025. There are things we had to leave out that would be funded if a small increase were adopted, but we haven't seen any appetite on the part of either the administration or the council to move in that direction right now. Our biggest uncertainty in the water budget is what it may cost us to begin to meet the EPA mandate to eliminate lead water service lines from our system. Although this is a long-term mandate, we must start working on it in 2025. If those costs are more than the water and sewer budget can handle, we may be back to ask the council to implement a fee or a rate change to help cover those costs. That is probably more likely than not next year. Another large budget is for our transit systems, Fortran. The proposed 2025 Fortran budget is about $19 million. There are as yet no bus service changes, and it will still be free to ride, even though the federal grant that originally allowed that has expired. Another large budget is for airports, more than $35 million. The airports are in good financial shape and are using a combination of city, state, and federal funds to improve our airports and make it a better experience to fly out a regional airport. Another large fund is community development, which uses state and federal money to try to improve the lives of our citizens. Those grants are getting smaller every year, so our 2025 community development budget is less than this year's budget. We have a solid waste fund with a budget of more than $20 million. It uses fees charged at the landfill, the money citizens pay monthly on a solid waste fee, and contributions from the general fund to make sure that we pick up your garbage and trash and dispose of it properly. We have a debt service fund of more than $78 million, which is where we pay the principal and interest on the bonds that we sell that are backed with property taxes. The last large budget we have is for retained risk. The city uses this fund to purchase insurance and, when necessary, pay claims. The risk budget for next year is almost $18 million. To put that in perspective, we are insuring more than $1 billion worth of buildings and facilities and have a great deal of liability exposure just as a result of being a city. There's also a capital improvements budget that contains not only new projects for 2025, but projects that were first funded in some prior year and haven't been finished yet. That budget is more than $1.4 billion, more than half of which is sewer system work. There's more than $150 million in new projects for 2025, 3/4 of which are from the bonds that voters approved last spring and in 2021. Citizens will begin to see work on many of those projects next year. The budget process from here is set by the city charter and by city council policy. The council will spend parts of next Tuesday and Wednesday going over all these budgets with city staff and department heads. They will then have almost 4 weeks to work with the executive branch and with the council's budget analyst to develop final budget proposals that will be voted on at the council's meeting on December 8th. The council is required to adopt next year's budgets by December 15th. Budgets are about choices and priorities. Any citizen with an opinion on how we can best proceed is more than welcome to express it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dart, I know there's been some concern with the sales tax. Council members have asked that we take a conservative approach. We'd like you to speak on that, as well as to the sales tax. Have we take a deep dive on what's causing the decline versus previous years? Have we know what categories that were just falling short in any?
Mr. Chairman, we get a report every month from the sales tax office that I think we have sent to you all at various times. And it breaks down sales tax revenue in, 20, 25 different categories. And the ones that I try to look at are things like restaurants and grocery stores and retail, because they're sort of the core of business, and they are quite flat. They're growing, usually a good month is somewhere between 0 and 1% up. The things that make the tax go down from time to time or go up from time to time are the sort of one-time payments. Some business buys a few $1 million worth of equipment and pays tax all at one time. But right now there is no particular category that is doing spectacularly worse than others. We are simply a relatively flat economy right now, and that's the budget number we'll be using for sales tax next year.
Thank you. Councilwoman Taylor?
So how much debt do we have? First, we were looking at $8 million cutting, and then you sent an additional 4. So how much are we looking at cutting from this budget?
The number that I'm working with right now is $4 million, which is the difference between what I had in the budget for sales tax and what I believe is the more appropriate number now that we've seen a few more months of experience. That's actually, you'll get some taste of that in your budget meetings next week about where we think we're trying to go with that and the places we're trying to go with it and the impacts where there are any obvious ones as a result. You ask how much debt we have. I'd actually have, it's in the budget book, but I don't have it in front of me, so I can get that to you as soon as I get back to the office. And of course, that's paid out of the property tax.
So do you have a slide presentation of what you just presented?
The slides are for Tuesday and Wednesday, but I can, we can put this together. I just finished your PowerPoint for Tuesday and Wednesday last night.
Thank you.
Any other council members have any questions for Mr. Dart? Thank you. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor or opposition of these ordinances? Please state your name and address
Mr.
for the
Chairman,
record.
Ken Kraft, 157 Archer Avenue. Shreveport 71105. I want to thank Mr. Dark for his overview today and a week ago in John Settle's paper. And in my column today on the sales tax, we're up a little for October, a little over 1%. But I think the key, as Tom pointed out a week ago, is the trend. And the trend is negative. We're doing a lot better than Bossier. Bossier's getting clobbered. There's 6 agencies on which I wrote, and Shreveport's fortunate to be the only one up a little. Everybody else is down. And across the river, I don't know why, but they're down double digits, 15, 16%. So we have to be careful to guard our operating budget reserve. As y'all know, very near and dear to my heart, something I recommended 44 years ago when the reserve was 1/4%. That's not even a day out of a year. It's about 18 hours worth of reserve. And the reason I like 8%, 8 1/3, fractionally, that's 1/12, that's 1 month. And that gives us some room within which to operate. 2 other things that are interesting. The 24 operating budget ordinances and 1 capital budget. And when I started 44 years ago, there were 6 total budget ordinances. So about 1/4 as many as are now. SPAR was in the general fund, MPC was in the general fund. We had water and sewer, airports, general fund, retained risk, capital, and 1 other. So we've grown 6-fold in the general fund since then, and we've grown 4-fold in the number of ordinances. But the good news is the charter allows you all to revise. You do it all year. Budgets go up, budgets go down. We have a need. We try to address that need and cut. And Mr. Chairman, do I have to wait to talk? I just want to say I favor Resolution 142 and Ordinance 150 instead
Yeah,
of
let's-
waiting
let's-
to
let's-
say that later. Those are
let's-
very
yeah.
important.
Let's wait on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm wearing this because my team lost 121 games this year, set a record, the White Sox, so I'm wearing my championship shirt from 19 years ago when we swept the Astros, when they were in the National
Cowboys
League.
and Saints.
Well, go ahead and get you a Saints sweatshirt and a Dallas Cowboys sweatshirt while you're at it.
They were the White Sox.
Did we have any other comments? If not, this public hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, would there be any legislation to be added to the table today?
Not to be added, but we do have a request to remove Resolution 178 from introduction of resolutions to resolutions on the final passages.
Can you read what 178 is, please?
Resolution 178, approving an annual payment in lieu of tax accordance with the term sheet agreement between the Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority and Natchitoches Thomas Apartments Preservation.
Is there a motion to move this from introduction to second reading and final passage?
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by the chair. Before we go into discussion, is there anyone here in favor or against having Resolution 178 moved to final passage?
Resolution 178, approving an annual payment in lieu of tax in accordance with the term sheet agreement between the Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority and the Natchitoches Thomas Apartments Preservation.
Mr. City Attorney, you want to kind of explain in layman's terms?
Yes, and if you have further questions from what I can tell you, the representative for the Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority just walked back into the room. But that matter is a matter that's taking place in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Because the city of Shreveport is the fiduciary for the, or the repository, I believe is the word, for the Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority, this board has to approve the pilot that's going on down in Natchitoches. It's one of those matters that we normally do. It's normally, it was submitted as a 2-reader. It could have been and should have been submitted as a 1-reader. And what we're doing here is the city attorney is asking that you move it from introduction to final passage today.
Mr. Chair, could you ask Mr. Posada to come up?
Attorney Posada?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell us what the pilot is in Natchitoches?
Yeah, so it's an affordable housing, it's for an affordable housing development, the Natchitoches Thomas Apartments, that are right there on, I can't tell you the exact name of the road. But basically it is a very old affordable housing development, and this will be about a $40 million investment to completely rehabilitate that development. And so that's being funded by private developers and through the Louisiana Housing Corporation. And so one of the things that they needed was a tax abatement, because currently that property is owned by a nonprofit owned by a church. And in order to be able to receive the federal funds through the tax credits, they have to transfer title to that to a tax-paying entity in order to draw down the credits. And so what this is doing is basically ensuring that by drawing down the federal money, they don't get penalized by having to pay property taxes, which they've never paid before.
Is Mayor Williams in support of that?
Yes. And the Natchitoches City Council voted unanimously last week to approve it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I ask again, is there anyone present in favor or against having Resolution 178 moved to final passage? Okay. If not, we'll open the floor for discussion for council. Keep in mind, adding this for final passage must be unanimous. Are there any discussions? If not, let's vote.
That passes with 7.
As we've done throughout this entire year, before we move to public comments, I will ask our city attorney to read the rules of decorum.
City Council Rules of Procedure, Rule 1.11E6, decorum. City council meetings shall be conducted in a fair and impartial manner that allows the business of the city to be effectively undertaken. Persons appearing before the council shall not make personal, impertinent, unduly repetitive, inflammatory, slanderous, or profane remarks to the council, any member of the council, or the general public. Utter loud, threatening, personal, or abusive language likely to incite outbursts from the audience. Engage in any other conduct that is likely to disrupt, disturb, or otherwise unreasonably impede the orderly conduct of the council meeting, or continue to address the council once they have left the podium, nor engage in conversation with the council from their seat. Section F, the chair shall maintain orderly conduct of public meetings. The chair shall maintain orderly conduct of meetings and shall have the right to eject any person from the public meeting when the person disrupts the orderly proceedings of the council or does not adhere to the time limit to speak after being notified their time to speak has expired. To provide the speaker with the opportunity to comply with the rules set out herein, the chair shall exercise control over persons who disrupt the meeting in the following progressive order of action. 1, attempt to call the person to order via verbal warning to any speaker or attendee that is violating the rules of decorum and advising them of the infraction. However, a verbal warning is not required as a condition of removal from the meeting if there is imminent danger or threat. 2, if the violation continues, advise the person that the infraction must cease immediately, or the person will be ordered to leave the meeting. 3, order the person to leave the meeting. 4, if the person refuses to leave the meeting, the chair may order any public safety officer in attendance to remove the person from the meeting room. No person shall be prevented from speaking or barred from attendance because of any disagreement with the speaker's view or any matter, view on any matter, or because of the speaker's identity.
Thank you. Vice Chair, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Mr. Versa Clark. Mr. Clark, we'd like to say welcome to the meeting. You have 3 minutes. Would you state your name and address for the record?
Versa Clark, 7626 Tampa Way. Several months ago, I came before this body expressing concern about the treatment the city's governing body has shown towards Cedar Grove. a number of things, including the missteps in successfully procuring the Reconnecting Communities Act transportation grants, or not informing the community that a different action was taken on the $55,000 Dick's Sporting Good Foundation grant, and not including A.B. Palmer Community Center in recent bond proposals. And after leaving with each of you a copy of the Cedar Grove 2027 newsletter, there was no contact made with myself, of the president of CARE, or more active, which is a more active neighborhood association, as to your intentions or assisting or driving any of the proposals listed in the newsletter. CARE has been on board since the beginning and was instrumental in the success of the June 2019 Renaissance Festival, which was the kickoff to the Cedar Grove 2027 100-year anniversary of the township of Cedar Grove being annexed to the city of Shreveport. Instead, the community has been faced with a unanimously passed resolution to dedicate a street to an individual without real knowledge of the area's history. The community would like for this disrespect to stop.
Thank you. Ms. Belinda Rose. Ms. Rose, thank you for coming. Welcome. And would you state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, first I want to say good afternoon. Belinda Rose, 1017 Babylon Road, resident Cedar Grove, by way of Pine Valley. First, before I give my opinion, I want to first thank each council person that engages, listen, and inform their constituents on matters that would impact them. One who takes interest in their entire district that they serve. I thank you. Now, to my opinion, dedication signs are a conversation piece. Legacy. The consideration of an individual should not be done half-hearted or without research. I strongly encourage the 5 members, the council members of Cedar Grove, to research. Applicants attend neighborhood meetings and involve the community. Many residents were totally surprised and very upset by the current choice approved for Turner Lane. Nothing personal toward the individual. He was my pastor for a few years. Now, if we were talking about the late Gloria Harrison from Booker T. Washington Nursing Home, a true pillar of hope that was involved in the community and in the city for many decades. A conversation piece. A woman who was faithful to her family business, staff, and patients under her care. She employed many residents from within the community, many within walking distance. A conversation piece. You would hear about other conversation pieces. So in closing, please ask questions. What contribution have the individual made to enhance the quality of life in the neighborhood? What contribution to the city as a whole? And how the community feels. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Terry Jackson.
Good afternoon, I'm Terry Jackson, 990 Quail Creek Road. I'm Assistant Professor of Nursing, and I'm also the only director of Legacy Dance Studio, serving the community kids for 22 years. We offer classes in ballet, tap, jazz, modern liturgical, tumbling, and hip hop. In 2016, I moved my business to 990 Quail Creek Road for further development and growth of my business. During the decision-making process, safety of the area was our top priority because we mostly service kids whom are being dropped off by their parents or grandparents.
Initially, we felt safe and comfortable and absolutely had no thought of locking our doors. Looking back at the timeline in 2019, we began to experience an increase of foot traffic across our parking lot, littering, loud music, people talking to themselves very loudly and using profanity as parents were bringing their kids to class. People would sit on our stairs and even had the audacity to sit in our lobby and state they were waiting for a ride. We have experienced repeated vandalism of our AC units, graffiti on our building, parts stolen from our company van. I have a video of a prostitute that decided to use my parking lot as a nice place to freshen up. And after several occasions of strangers wandering around inside of our building, we decided to start locking our doors at all times. Just when I thought it couldn't be worse, violent crimes, stabbing, shootings became a regular. At this point, I was highly concerned about our safety, so I reached out to my city councilman, Mr. Taliaferro, and he was very kind to meet with me, and I very much appreciate it. What I don't appreciate was the empty promises, no follow-up on our situation, but you followed up to pick up a trough that you wanted for yourself. In addition, you've become so unconcerned and disengaged that you didn't remember our situation when I reached out to you a few weeks ago when our electricity panel was stolen. And then the following Tuesday, once again, the Jolie apartments were on fire during business hours, and our parking lot was once again taken over by media and city vehicles during business hours. And to make it even worse, a city employee had the audacity to disrespect one of our tenants after he asked him not to block our driveway, and he will speak for himself. Back in May, when the water and electricity was disconnected at the Jolie apartment complex, they decided to use mine to charge their cell phones. They ran electrical cords and water hoses from my building to the apartment complex and stole our light source from the top of the building. At no time have we received any calls, emails, texts from any city representative to check on our well-being. This communicates to me just how unconcerned the city of Shreveport has been about us. Regardless of how we've been treated, we cooperate with the police, the fire department by providing information and videos from our security cameras because I don't believe the city of Shreveport has any in that area. My top priority is safety for our kids, parents, and staff. All I was primarily asking Mr. Taliaferro for was a gate around my property for our safety. It is better to say no than to ignore the fact that someone owns property at 990 Quail Creek Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Ted Chambers. Mr. Chambers, thank you for coming. Welcome. Would you state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Terrence Ted Chambers, 8500 Jackson Square Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana. Good afternoon. I'm a member of the Mount Olive Baptist Church of Shreveport, located in the Pine Valley, Cedar Grove, Eden Gardens, and Shady Grove communities. We are a church where the majority of the membership still reside within the Cedar Grove and adjacent subdivisions. We've been a strong and vital presence in the community for over 140 years and are the single largest landholder and stakeholder on Turner Lane from Lyon Avenue to Bethany Street. We hold a cumulative 10 acres on Turner Lane, and our members hold an additional 2. Apart from our sanctuary and a multi-purpose space, we operate a church incubator and a 6-unit senior living complex on Turner Lane. We are an active part of the community and service it through our food bank, our annual parades, 2 nonprofits, the Women of Vision and Olive Branch Ministries, as well as other events that we host that are totally free to the public. Our membership has spawned civic leaders and other notable citizens and have held close ties to the community. We are proud of our community and are heavily invested in its well-being. When other ministries, churches, and businesses left Cedar Grove and Eden Gardens, we stayed and we built. We stayed amidst the riots that razed a local business just a mere 4 blocks from our door. We stayed when the property taxes rose with the development of the Spring Lake subdivisions, and we stayed when the opportunity zones along Lyon Avenue excluded us. We have been a strong community partner, and our community recognizes that and respects that in us. That's what brings me here to you this afternoon. There was a street dedication sign that was erected in front of our front door of a person who has no ties to the greater Cedar Grove and adjacent communities. Has no ties to the city of Shreveport nor the parish of Caddo. While he does have a viable, vibrant, and valid ministry at a Turtle Lane address, he is neither a landholder, stakeholder, notable citizen, nor has had any history in our community. While we do not begrudge a parishioner's love for their pastor or their fervent desire to honor him, we neither hold any malice towards Pastor Butler, nor his ministry, nor his flock. We find it appalling that this council and this councilman will allow such events to take place without at least consulting us, the greater stakeholder, the greater shareholder, or even giving us consideration as to the placement of the street dedication, given my earlier statements. We understand that the passage of this honor is now law. However, laws change, are invalidated, or repealed and amended. The sign has been removed as of Sunday morning. We are grateful for that. We would prefer that it not reappear on or adjacent any of our Turner Lane properties. Perhaps a less egregious location would be better. Maybe Turner Lane and Gideon.
Mr. Chambers,
Turner.
your time is up. Thank you for coming. We have Mr. Kelvin Van Wright. Mr. Van Wright would like to say welcome to the council meeting. Would you state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelvin Van Wright, and my address is 8902 Bow Chase Drive. I'd like to talk to everyone today about the ongoing situation as it concerns the Jolie Apartments. My wife has a counseling service that's housed within Legacy Dance Studio, Van Wright Counseling. So I'm there assisting her Monday through Friday. I'm there 5 days. I want to give y'all like a boots on the ground view of what's happening to this day, because I'm there every day. So just to give you an idea, still have obviously, things that have made the news, the biggest, the arson, theft, vandalism of the building and of adjacent properties. Also, almost on a daily basis, I still find a lot of drug paraphernalia as I'm policing on the outside of the building. I'll keep it G-rated, a lot of sexual paraphernalia for whatever is going on back in those apartments. I see a lot of people still going into the apartments. Now, in fairness, I don't want to say that it's at the same rate that it was before the gates were locked, but there are still people back there. And they're still conducting whatever business they're conducting. Also, as we know, Legacy Dance Studio servicing the community with the children. So at night, we still have people coming in, basically bothering the parents who are trying to pick their children up. As Ms. Jackson stated earlier, we had a floodlight on the building, and that floodlight was to provide light so when the kids coming out after classes, no cars come through or whatever. Someone stole the light. Stole plural air conditioning units, electrical equipment, still trying to steal water, still trying to splice the electricity. I'm not making this up. I wish this was a joke. It's not. And I can tell you as a veteran, 22 years in the United States Air Force, I've been in the war zone 4 times. I do not want to over dramatize this. The Jolie looks like a bomb went off, but we know a bomb didn't go off. And it's attracting that sort of element. So that's all I have. I know y'all don't want to hear me just drone on and on. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Wright.
Thank you.
Mr. Wright.
Councilwoman Taylor, and then
Mr.
Councilman
Wright.
Bowman.
So have you all, with all of the activity that is going on there, how often have you all filed complaints with SPD? Or have you even had contact with the CLO in the area?
Yes, ma'am. We have filed complaints. I do not have a hard number for you, but I could say anecdotally, 15, 20 times at least.
Right.
Personally, I've made phone calls on at least 4 to 5 occasions.
Okay.
And they've run the gamut too. So we're not just a lot of like mental health,
Yes.
So it's like we're trying to do like a welfare check for folks.
Right.
But beyond that, yes, we have been physically threatened. We've had people try to breach the building. So yes, we have made those phone calls.
What time since you're there, what is the peak time that you see for activity?
If I had to say it was a peak time, it kind of depends on the season.
Okay.
So during the
Because
summer,
it's daylight savings time now, so.
yes, ma'am.
It's dark quicker.
I would say late afternoon, late morning, early afternoon.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Dark, can you give us a status on the Jolie Apartments?
I suspect Mr. Edwards may have to do that. Marcus, do you have anything new to report on it?
The most recent two updates that I have on the Jolie Apartments involve a meeting that we had on last Thursday with the lender and the keeper of the property, with Councilman Talaferro, to give him a fulsome update of the situation, as well as to try to get a plan for renovating that property. On that call were Chief Smith and Chief Reese to talk about the two most recent incidents of arson, or two most incidents of fires, and a potential operation out there by the police department to sweep the property of potential squatters. There's also been some discussions with the police department about the trespass affidavit, which has been completed by the keeper of the Jolie property, and the updated squatter law in the state of Louisiana, which passed in the regular session of the legislature this year. During that call on Thursday, a lot of information was shared, and some steps were agreed to be taken, including, I believe it was the purchase of some cameras to put on the property. The lender agreed during that call to place some cameras out there so that they can get some surveillance, and that was on Thursday. Since that time, we've also met with and started dialogue with a potential buyer for that property, who has made overtures to the city of Shreveport to try to discuss whether or not and how to make investments towards possibly purchasing and renovating that property. We've also put that individual in contact with the police chief, the fire chief, and with Councilman Talaferro. I'll also note that the displeasure of the administration, the council, and the city of Shreveport with the status of the situation at the Jolie was absolutely expressed to the lender and to the keeper of that property. And my understanding is that a lot of the information that the fire department has been relying upon has come from the information that's been shared with them by you and those that you work with. So we are also disappointed in the progress of bringing that property back online, and I assure you we're doing everything that we can to get our arms around that situation. I will note that the Jolie is a private property that's owned by a private entity. The city of Shreveport does not own that property, but obviously we have an obligation of public safety. We have an obligation of fire safety. We have an obligation of trying to make sure that the neighborhood is not affected by the deterioration of that particular private property, and we're taking those responsibilities seriously.
Chief, can we get some extra patrol there to kind of help out?
Because I'm concerned, just like Councilwoman Bowman, with the number of children that enter there to her dance studio on a consistent basis all day, and he's there and he's seeing that in real time. So, of course, with daylight savings time, that's not going to stop. You know, I don't want her business to be ruined or impacted, or individuals that are coming to her business to feel unsafe, as well as your wife's business. So with that being said, and I know that we've been discussing cameras in areas, and just in addition to what Attorney Edwards said is being done, what else can we do in order to support that? Because she has cameras on the building.
Right.
He covered most everything I was going to present. We are making preparations very, very soon to eradicate that property of people that shouldn't be there, as we did before, and also have a plan to better control that after that occurs. And the conversation that I had with the gentleman from out of town was very, very helpful. I'm so appreciative to him for being open to ideas to control access to that property and make it safe for the community. But anyway, to make a long story short, some plans are in place very, very soon to take care of the
Right.
problem.
Chief, another option is maybe the business want to tie into the real-time crime center because it'll be actual time, they can see
Correct.
everything. So
Right.
that could be another option to help out with some of the crime in the area.
We located the vulnerabilities out there, how people are getting in, how people were driving around the gate. We've identified that, and we're going to work to close off
Okay.
those vulnerabilities.
Chief, will you give him that information to the real-time crime center?
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Be
sir.
Happy to.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Councilman Butcher.
While the chief's here, I'm curious as to with the reports that we're getting from just this one development going in there, have there been any on Riley Lane that have had increased crime or
Yes.
I guess the administration or Mr. Edwards, can we force them to put a fence around that thing?
I don't know. That's a good question. Part of the vulnerability is that levee that borders it. You can easily drive up the levee, drive down the levee, right into the property, and nobody ever sees or knows that it happened. But anyway, you're exactly right. The vulnerabilities are on either side of the properties, the bayou and the levee, where there is no kind of access.
I mean, I can just imagine out of all the apartment complexes that we have, this one is more surrounded in a area of,
Because it sits off the street.
yeah,
You
and
can't
it's,
see
it's,
it.
you can't see what's going on. I don't know if there's anything that we can do as a body
Can we put a trailer there?
to
As a
put a
temporary-
fence around that thing.
Can we put one of our trailers, our camera trailers, as a temporary use?
Right.
Well, that's a good idea, but I'm talking about once everybody's out of there and they do their sweep, the city could go and put a fence up and then charge whoever the bank is for that fence. I mean, we did it for 50 cents downtown.
Right.
We might as well do it to keep it off, because I don't see any other way to keep them out.
Right. And the
Well,
other,
50 paid for it, but I mean, it was able to be done, is what I meant.
I think the security trailer is a good idea for a temporary basis. I would be in support of it to put one of the security trailers there to help them out right now.
now, if they take that security trailer, we got a problem.
Right.
They're gonna be on camera if they
Got a
take
problem
it.
They'll be trying to wire their
If you take
electricity
the
off the
trailer,
generator.
right.
Ma'am?
You take this trailer, I want to know who they are for real.
Okay, we'll make it
But
happen.
I think putting that out there.
That will help her
Okay.
with
Yeah,
her
that
business
would
right
help
now.
their businesses right now, and to be another tactic to move them out of that area.
Right.
Because then they know that they are being watched, and then police would be able to take it by her property.
Right.
Okay.
Chief,
We'll
are
make
all
it
your
happen.
trailers at the fair now? Or do you have some extra?
All three were there, and we removed one and took somewhere. So I know we got two out there now. I'm not sure where the other one is.
Okay.
But I mean, we'll make it happen, whatever it takes.
Chief, help us with that, Chief.
I think that,
Ma'am?
Chief, if you decide to take the new one out there, I'll man it for you.
Oh, you talking about the SPD watch?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's at the fair, and it's having such a wonderful effect. We had any reported incidents where it
It
is.
is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Councilwoman Taylor and I went up. So, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Respectfully, I took a picture with it.
It's
Oh,
working.
we actually got to
It's
get
working.
in it.
Got to get in it.
In it.
Mr. Edwards, though, I would really like to know the legalities of fences. I really would, because this is a problem. I mean, I know that I go by it all the time, Councilman Brooks' district, those centenary apartments are awful as well, and as they only deteriorate, I just want to know if there's legally anything that the city can do about a fence, and if we can, put a charge on them for it. I mean, I know we're trying to negotiate and get people to buy it. This right here to me is a hot piece of property. Somebody needs to buy it, because it's worth some money with the value around it. But in the meantime, I can only imagine having a business right there with all that going on, and then these houses back here, people coming over that levee. I mean, it's something that needs some immediate attention, I think.
Mr. Chair. So Chief,
Councilwoman Taylor.
with them crossing the levee, is there anything we can bring that to the Caddo Levy Board? Is that levee right there regulated under them?
I believe all the levies are, and I just don't know. I know of fences that are adjacent to levees, but generally all the fencing that I've seen is on the private property owner's side, not the parish side itself.
And it might not be feasible, but I mean, in my mind, I'm looking at it, and the reason I'm saying that is I'm looking at it on the map, and it looks like it'd be pretty easy to run one down the levee and then one back around. You may not even have to put it on the bayou side, because I don't think anybody's going to swim through that bayou to get to it. But at least around that little U shape that it's got there.
We bring it to the sheriff's attention as well about the levees, with what they're doing.
Mr.
It's
Chair.
crossing over that way.
Okay, we will.
City Attorney.
We can certainly strongly encourage the bank to take some steps. Thus far, this lender has been very, very, very willing to take suggestions and to do what we recommend in these situations. The lockbox that has gone on the entrance to the property is there because of our request. The surveillance cameras that we requested, he immediately agreed to and asked for some more suggestions. So we'll add some fencing of the flanks of the property to our list of strong suggestions. I have no doubt that they will take us up on that suggestion.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wright.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that concludes public speaking.
Thank you. We have no executive appointments to consider today. There are no items on the consent agenda or introduction are to be adopted. Madam Clerk, would you please proceed with regular agenda legislation?
Resolution 139, authorizing Jose Carmona at 9588 Wallace Lake Road to make connection to the city of Shreveport water and/or sewer system.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Any discussion? Let's vote.
That passes with 7.
Resolution 140, authorizing Springfield Baptist Church at 9702 Wallace Lake Road to make a connection to the city of Shreveport's water and/or sewer system.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Butcher,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Bowman. Any discussion? Let's vote.
That passes with 7.
Resolution 141, authorizing Sean Piddleton at 9820 Wallace Lake Road to make connection to the city of Shreveport's water and/or sewer system.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by the chair. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Councilman Jackson.
That passes with 7.
Resolution 142, establishing the intent of the city council by specifying the projects to be undertaken from the sale of the 2024 general obligation bonds.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, second by
Discussion.
Councilwoman Bowman. Discussion, Councilwoman Taylor.
Attorney Basada.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you reaffirm this resolution as it relates to the intent of this bond? Will you reaffirm?
Yes.
I know you talked about it before.
Absolutely. So this resolution, the goal of this is to make sure that we make very clear, let me back up. One of the things we put in the proposition, if you look, and made it very clear in there that all of these projects were subject to approval of the city council. So in the process, they authorized the $256 million, and they authorized the projects that were presented. However, those projects still have to be finally approved. Because as you know, as time goes on, you may get 3 years down the road before you do part of it. And a road that you wanted to fix is no longer a priority, but one right next to it is. And so this ensures that you have the ability to control those projects throughout the process and that it's your decision. And so this resolution is mainly asking you to decide whether or not these are the projects that you want to be included in this first round, so that we can present those to the markets when we go to public.
So these will be the projects that you will be presenting to us as the council. These will be the projects that you will be presenting to the council.
That's the first round of projects that would be completed with the money.
Okay. Okay.
So I actually want to applaud the administration for doing this because this is not something that has to be done, but it included, to my understanding, the projects that are ready to go. So we're just not sitting on the money. These projects have been vetted and confirmed that we are ready to go and move forward as soon as these bonds are approved. So I think this shows transparency to the constituents, which is what they wanted. So I definitely applaud this piece of legislation. Thank you again to the administration.
Attorney Basado, so what would be the immediate projects that are ready to go?
I'd have to defer as far as all the projects on that list are ready to go in the next 12 months, but I'd have to defer in terms of to Mr. Dark and the mayor in terms of which ones specifically are the closest to being ready to turn.
And so when we say ready to go, and say, let's take for instance that we're talking about street projects.
Mm-hmm.
So they're ready to go as far as the bonds being sold on those projects, but it still takes 2 to 4 years to.
It's a mix. Some of the water projects
Yes.
have already been designed because of all the stuff with the consent decree. So some of those projects are ready to go immediately. Some of the street projects will take design time, and so the contractors won't start on those until they know that the money's there, as well as the program managers that'll be hired.
Correct. That's what I wanted to be said on the record.
Sure.
Because sometimes when you hear ready to go, then people thinking about all of the projects.
Absolutely.
To be able to identify what projects will be going first and still what projects take several years to do because of just however
Absolutely.
design and implementation and all of that stuff with street projects. Thank you.
And Councilman, I also want to say I saw a sign last time I was in Boston, and it said, if Rome was built in a day, we would have hired their contractors.
Exactly.
So yes, these things take time, and so I appreciate you pointing that out.
I appreciate that.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is a question for the administration, I think. We had talked about having some type of real-time, something that constituents could pull up on the website that would link them to the bond projects that are ongoing and where we are. So once we pass this and we approve to sell those bonds, I would like to see that up there on the website of what's proposed to be done, and then progress that's truly updated as, you know, we're in the design phase, we've awarded the bid. I mean, it doesn't have to be a day-to-day deal.
Correct.
But at least where we as a council can look and as the constituents can look.
So they will know what
Yeah,
the
where they'll know
progress
where that is. Are we anywhere close to that with IT?
We are, you will get, see that, this doesn't appropriate those projects. You will actually be voting on a capital budget that will.
Okay.
And once that's done, we'll start putting that into the system with the intent of beginning to do the process of quarterly reports and getting the stuff on the website. But, they did some work, just kind of preliminary, putting up some of the 2021 stuff to give us an idea of what it would take. And so as soon as we know exactly the list, which we will theoretically after this, and certainly will after December 8th, we will get that done, yes, sir.
Because that's a major priority for me, for us to be able to see exactly where we are with each. Let's just take the police station project. We learned a lot today about where we are that we have not heard before with the architect, where we are on the police station. I think if we know it, y'all know it, then everybody sitting out in this audience needs to be able to have it at their fingertips. So, thank you.
Are our parks an immediate project?
I'm sorry?
Our parks.
The parks, you said? I am not sure if which parks are in that list.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, well, I can help a little. I mean, I know the pools and the Sprayground are in there, the work at Hirsch is in there, the work at the stadium is in there.
I know all of that. I'm
Oh,
saying,
I'm
are
sorry.
they immediate projects?
Some of them are, and again, when we talk about immediate, what we're really talking about, these are the projects we think we can get started and for construction between now and the time we sell the next group of bonds.
Okay.
I mean, essentially, you're talking about projects, we may be a year to 15 months away from doing it again. And the idea was to have, this is the group that we should have something going on all or most of them by the time it's time to sell them again. And a lot of what's in this stuff is design work so that there's work in the pipeline to do in the year and the year after that.
That's why I asked the question and clarifying when you say what's immediate,
Mhm.
what can be
Yeah,
done.
absolutely.
All of that, so you would know that. So I don't want people to think that streets are immediate.
Right.
You know, you may sell, but it still takes 2 to 4 years or even longer to get them done.
But what we have done is, for instance, the one that you and Councilmember Bowman share, Curtis Lane,
Right.
that's not a complete reconstruction. That one's in there because it's a quicker do than some of the
Correct.
others. I think Kennedy in Councilmember Green's district is kind of the same way. We tried to pick some things that were not, you know, we got to go, I mean, as a, for instance, Pines Road is a real design job.
Right. Mhm.
And
I
that's going to be, that's not going to
That's
be,
from 25
design
years.
money's in the first
Right.
year, but not
Mhm.
construction. But some of
Right.
the stuff like Curtis and Kennedy and some of the others are in there as streets just because they're doable next summer.
Some of the smaller
Okay.
projects.
Yeah.
I think Lakeshore, a little piece of Lakeshore's in the same.
And I think that doing it like this, that you've got these immediate things that should take a year to 2 years to do,
Correct.
then you come back to us in 2 years. Most of us will still be here. Hopefully, we get to that point. Then we can look back and see, okay, your progress has been great. Your progress hadn't. What do we need to work on? Because haven't executed. I don't think any of us, except for maybe Mr. Dark, have executed a bond this big.
Never quite this big.
In the recent. So
I have.
James.
Well, I meant the ones that are. I know you have, but I'm talking about.
So call my name.
and Vice Chair Green. Sorry about that. I'll buy you a dilly plate of
Second to
Morris.
Morris's.
I'll take
Second to
it.
Morris's. Thank you. Don't go far.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other discussions? Let's vote.
It fails with seven. That passes with seven.
Resolution 170, amending the City of Shreveport's Purchasing and Regulation and Procedure Manual to add Section 2-7 concerning the acceptance of donation of movable and immovable property.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilwoman Taylor. Any discussion? Let's vote.
That passes with seven.
Resolution 171, a resolution ratifying the execution of certain documents and instruments relative to the Choice Neighborhoods supplemental grant agreement between the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development of the City of Shreveport.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Any discussion? Let's vote.
It passes with seven.
Resolution 172, a resolution for the certification of compliance with the State of Louisiana Off-System Bridge Replacement Program.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Brooks. Any discussion? Let's vote.
It passes with seven.
Resolution 173, a resolution authorizing the City of Shreveport, Louisiana purchasing agent to reject all bids received for Lucas Water Treatment Plant renovation RFQ 24-522.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by the chair. Any discussion? Let's vote.
That passes with seven.
Resolution 174, authorizing Janae Family Partnership at 7347 Julie Francis Drive to make connection to the city of Shreveport's water and/or sewer system.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Bowman, second by Councilman Butcher. Any discussion? Let's vote.
That passes with 7.
Resolution 175, encouraging the mayor to negotiate the purchase of property and improvements at 8509 Lion Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106, to be used as a police substation.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Vice Chair Green. Any discussion?
I strongly encourage this.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again, we kind of went over it at the Public Safety Committee meeting. What I'm saying here is we hear a lot of talk about the North Shreveport substation, the Monkhouse substation, which are all important, the main police station, and we're talking about allocating millions and millions of dollars worth of bond money. But one discussion that's been kind of left out, and in the public arena, there's been discussion with the mayor and the CAO who have been supportive of this, is South Shreveport. I think we have identified a place. From what I understand, the police chief thinks it is viable. It's not a sure bet. There's negotiating that needs to be done. But I think that we need a roadmap as we go down the road of selling these bonds. We've just been dealing with this since 2021 with really no direction. So for the citizens of Southeast Shreveport, my area, Councilman Brooks' area, Councilman Talaferro's area, and Councilman Jackson's area, this is something that needs to happen. So we did this just to encourage the mayor to start a dialogue with the owner. We're not saying that it's going to happen, but we feel like that this is a good spot for our constituents to put this particular substation. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilman Butcher, along with all of you that's involved, you've been very supportive of me and my district, and I would give my whole heart support for this to happen.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Councilwoman Taylor.
There was a concern as to, why we need a substation in Southeast Shreveport. A lot of people believe that, that's one of the lowest crime areas. And Councilman Butcher, I think you spoke on it a couple of meetings ago. But when there is crime, the response time is significantly slow. And so I am supportive of having a substation in that area as well, because I believe all of our citizens need to have a response time as we have all over the city. So when there's crime happening, we need to be able to respond as quickly as possible. So I will be supporting this as well.
And Councilman Jackson, to add that, this is really one of the closest turnkey buildings that we could find close enough to Cedar Grove. And literally, this is 1 block from Cedar Grove and about 2 blocks from the A.B. Palmer Park. So this is an excellent location to get even into the higher crime areas as well. So it not only does it serve Southeast Shreveport, from Southern Trace north over to, I-49 down to some of Councilman Brooks and Talaferro's district, it also hits us right there in the little bit more of the crime-ridden area. So I think it's a great thing to see those officers coming and going, and I think the location is about as good as we could ask for.
Thank you. Any other comments? Let's vote.
That passes with 7.
Resolution 178, approving an annual payment in lieu of tax in accordance with the term sheet agreement between the Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority and Natchitoches Thomas Apartments Preservation.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Talaferro, second by Councilman Butcher. Any discussion? Let's vote.
That passes with 7.
Madam Clerk, would you please proceed with introduction of resolution not to be adopted prior to November 22nd, 2024?
Resolution 176, authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement between the city of Shreveport and the U.S. Department of Transportation Resolution 177, authorizing the mayor to execute a temporary construction servitude with the Department of Transportation and Development of the state of Louisiana.
Any discussion before we introduce? Do we have a motion to introduce these resolutions? Been moved by Councilwoman Bowman, second by Councilman Brooks. These resolutions have been introduced. Madam Clerk, would you please proceed with introduction of ordinance not to be adopted prior to November 22nd, 2024?
Ordinance 151, amending the 2024 budget for the general fund.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion to introduce this ordinance? Been moved by Councilwoman Bowman, second by Councilman Brooks. These ordinances have been introduced. Madam Clerk, would you please proceed with ordinance on second reading and final passage?
Ordinance 40, an ordinance authorizing the lease of portions of Stageworks Louisiana, a city-owned property, to G-Unit Film and Television Louisiana, has been postponed to November 22nd. Ordinance 103, to amend various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of updating certain uses within the downtown zoning district.
Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilwoman Taylor.
Yeah, Councilwoman Taylor.
I just wanted to ask
We,
where
we need a,
I'm sorry. I'm
You
sorry.
gotta get it on
A motion to remand to the MPC.
you gotta get it on the floor.
I'm sorry.
It's not on the floor yet. Oh,
So moved.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Taylor. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, is there a second by Councilwoman Bowman. Is there a substitute motion?
Yes, to remand to the MPC.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilman Brooks to remand the MPC, second by Councilman Butcher. We vote on the second one first?
Yeah,
I
I
thought
can
we were
remove
doing
my motion.
discussion.
Okay,
We can withdraw our motion.
makes it simple. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Just wanted to know where we were with this, so.
This is something that the DDA and the MPC asked for.
Okay.
They have some more discussion to do between each other.
That was my question.
So that's why they're remanding.
Okay.
Go ahead and move it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're voting to remand back to MPC.
A yea is to remand?
Yea is to
A yea is to remand.
it passed with 7, is remanded.
Ordinance 111, an ordinance providing for the incurring of debt and the issuance and sale of not exceeding $88 million of general obligation bonds, Series 2024, of the City of Shreveport, State of Louisiana, prescribing the form, terms, and conditions of said bonds, designating a date, denomination, and place of payment of said bonds, providing for the payment thereof in principal and interest, and providing for the matters in connection therewith. There are 2 amendments. Amendment 1, this amendment officially authorizes the city to engage Attorney Jacqueline Scott as issuer counsel on the upcoming bond transaction, and we will need a motion to
Moved by the chair to withdraw Amendment 1, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Any discussion?
And why is this necessary?
We're removing Attorney Jacqueline Scott due to a conflict of interest. She's on the ethics board, so she cannot be a part.
She can't be the issuing counsel.
She can't be the issuing, but she can be a part of the.
Yes.
Yeah, issuing counsel.
Okay.
Right, Mike?
Is that, Mike, would you explain that?
So Attorney Scott notified us that she's on the State Board of Ethics, and so as a result, she can't serve in one of the roles that is directly hired by the city. And so she is going to take on another role that's not directly hired by the city, representing one of the other parties.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Let's vote.
It passes with 7.
Amendment 2, this amendment officially authorizes the city to engage the Norris Law Group LLC of Shreveport, Louisiana, as the closure counsel on the upcoming bond transaction.
So moved. It's moved by the chair, second by Councilwoman Bowman.
I didn't hear the name. What's the name?
Norris Law Group.
Norris? Okay.
Discussion? Let's vote.
It passes with 7.
As amended.
Motion on the ordinance as amended.
Been moved by the vice chair, second by the chair.
Discussion.
Discussion, Councilwoman Taylor.
Mr. Mayor, with these particular bonds, one of the things that was so pressing about this council was looking at also to the police stations. When we spoke in public safety meeting today, Mr. Dark informed us that they have at least 2 of the leases, and that Attorney Edwards would be working on those particular leases. So with that being said, he's still waiting on the lease from Willis Knighton regarding the North Market location. And I think, is there one other lease that you all were looking at? There was a delay with the CVS.
We're just starting to negotiate the one on South Point.
Okay.
The owner's going to be here next week from out of town to begin working on that. We've got school board, we've got BRF, we've got the North Market one. I think we'll get fairly soon because it's just not going to be that complicated. And then obviously we got to figure out what to replace the CVS one with. But we'll try to do that as quickly as we can as well.
We want to definitely ensure that the activity still remains as a sense of urgency to move those police officers out of their building and in a timely manner. As stated today, we were able to listen to the architect regarding the design of the main station, but I definitely want to make sure that our officers have their due diligence. So I asked Mr. Brooks, will we still be having the public safety meetings to get an update? Yes. To ensure that these officers are moved in a timely manner. So we'll be looking for leases for December 8th, most of the buildings, so we will have a distinct timeline as to when officers will be out of that location and into more suitable buildings.
Vice Chair Green.
Mr. Mayor, as on the regular agenda legislation 175, whereas Councilman Brooks, Talaferro, Booch, and myself, and along with the rest of the council, how much input will Councilman Butcher have as to that selection of that Line Avenue situation?
Mr. Vice Chair, we will continue to keep Mr. Butcher in the loop, and we will continue to let him know how those things are going. The rest of that is up to the administration.
Okay. So his input will be involved, or just you'll keep him in the loop and you all will make the final decision?
I'm sure that there will be a two-way communication.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Butcher.
And I appreciate that, Mayor. I would like to see us communicate on the remainder of these leases as well.
Correct.
And I don't particularly want to have to ask. I would rather y'all send us updates on when you execute one or you have one that you think is executable that we need to approve. Let us know and let us review it and be ready, because I don't want any delays at all. I'm voting for this because I think that I've listened to several constituents call me, and I don't want to hold up any more projects than we need to. However, I'm holding my nose and voting for it and trusting that we're going to move these 2021 bonds forward as well. So I want us to keep the communications going on the police department. I think that the South Point Parkway one, I'll feel a little bit more comfortable when that's executed. And I think that from what you tell me, it looks like it's going to happen quickly. And then that building is in such good shape. I know there's going to be some retrofitting that needs to be done, but y'all should be able to move on it fairly quickly.
That's Mr. Butcher, that's actually what we're going to be doing with him next Thursday or Friday, whichever day it is, walking the place and trying to see. There are a couple of places, in fact, y'all talked about one of them in the public safety meeting, where you've got some public counters that are going to need to be made or offices that will need to be turned into public locations. But we're trying to see how much retrofitting there is and whether he's willing to do that work instead of us having to do it. I mean, but this will be our first time to meet with him individually there. So that's what we're trying to do with that walkthrough end of next week.
And the North Market one, I think it's critical to get some people up there for Councilwoman Taylor's district.
Right.
I think it looks to me, I've not been in it, but I've looked at the schematic and looked at the interior of it. I think that should move fairly quickly as well. So
Have you all done a walkthrough of that
Oh,
building?
yes, ma'am. We were there, about 25 of us, a
Mhm.
week or so back. As far as I can tell, they want to move one wall. I mean,
Mhm.
it's nothing complicated at all. As soon as we get a lease signed by you all, approved by you all, that one's going to move really quickly.
I think that if you go ahead on and get it to Marcus Edwards, then he will be ready to go ahead on and move on it and send it to us.
We need to communicate to the buyer's agent that we need to get something, that's signed off by the Willis Knighton folks.
when is our next meeting is what date? Is that the,
Friday, November 22nd.
Friday,
22nd.
November 22nd.
I would like, before that meeting, to have maybe a public safety meeting, Chairman Brooks. Maybe the first part of that week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, if that's possible. We kind of know where we are with all of this. I think that gives us a full week to have an update on all this. And if that's okay with you, I would like to suggest that.
It is.
We'll have an update on the leases.
Yeah, update on the leases.
Okay.
And then I still think we've got the elephant in the room, which is North Market, that's floating around out there as well. So
Be meeting with my constituents.
maybe we can have a discussion on that at that point.
Let's vote.
Any other discussion?
Can we get a date for the public safety meeting?
When is the next council meeting?
Friday, the 22nd.
22nd?
Yes.
Could we do it earlier in that week, just in case there needs to be some things?
We can. Is it available? When does the commission meet?
I have to check the calendar. See.
I'm fine with the 18th or 19th.
I was thinking the 18th or 19th if possible.
Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote. Let's vote.
And a vote has been called for by Councilwoman Bowman. Let's vote.
We're voting to move the bond sale forward.
Yes.
Margaret, yes.
That passes with 7.
Ordinance 114 to amend various articles and sections of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of adding new definitions related to sober living home.
So moved.
Not comfortable with that.
Been moved by the chair. Is there a second?
I'm still not sure what that means. Did we postpone this last time?
We did.
Yes.
We postponed it several times.
I think I'm in a motion to postpone again, substitute motion.
There was no second. There's been a substitute motion to postpone.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Bowman. Any discussion? Let's vote.
That passed to postpone with 7.
Passes with 7.
Ordinance 115, and zoning case number 24-91-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located at the east side of Lotus Lane, approximately 230 feet north of Standard Oil Road, from RMHP Residential Manufactured Home Park Zoning District to RMHP Spud Residential Manufactured Home Park Small Plan Unit Development Zoning District.
Motion to postpone.
Second.
Been motion to postpone by Vice Chair Green, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Any discussion? Let's vote to postpone.
That passes with 7.
Ordinance 145, amending the 2024 Community Development Special Revenue Budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the chair, second by Councilwoman Taylor. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Pass it with 7.
Ordinance 146, modifying ordinance number 53 of 2024, and ordinance amending the 2024 budget for the general fund.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Ms. White James needs some more crackers.
That passes with 7. Getting weak.
Ordinance 147, modifying ordinance number 54 of 2024, and ordinance amending the 2024 budget for the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilwoman Bowman, second by Councilman Brooks. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Pass it with 7.
Ordinance 148, to amend various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of clarifying and updating provisions related to the administrative exception to zoning process.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilwoman Bowman, second by Councilwoman Taylor. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Pass it with 7.
Ordinance 149, to amend various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of clarifying, updating, and adding new provisions related to the planned unit development, small plan unit developments, and conditional zoning districts.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Pass with 7.
Ordinance 150, an ordinance providing for the incurring of debt and the issuance and sale of not exceeding $29 million of general obligation bond series 2024 of the City of Shreveport, State of Louisiana, prescribing the form, terms, conditions of said bonds, designating the date, denomination, and place of payment of said bonds, providing the payment thereof, and principal and interest, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
So moved.
And there is one amendment.
There's one amendment.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. On the amendment, any discussion?
This amendment officially authorizes the city to engage the law offices of Shante Y.R. Wells of the City of Shreveport as disclosure counsel on the upcoming bond transaction.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Vice Chair Green, second by Councilwoman Bowman. On the amendment, any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Attorney Basada, how soon will we move on these bonds?
We're already starting to work on those, so we're going to try to move these as quickly as absolutely possible. Thankfully, a lot of the work that we've done preparing for this one will help us get a little bit of a head start, but we've already started moving everything forward. And so I don't have a definitive timeline for you, but I would say very, very soon.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or comments? Let's vote.
Councilman Jackson.
It passes with 7. Motion on the ordinance as amended.
Second.
Amended.
Been moved by Vice Chair Green, second by Councilwoman Taylor. Any discussion?
Uh-oh, sorry.
Let's vote.
That passed with 7.
Profit.
Yay.
Madam Clerk, is there any table legislation to be removed from the table today?
No, sir.
Boy, that's the truth.
We have no property standard, NBC, ZBA, or ABA appeals to consider today. Are there any other appeals, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Are there any reports from officers, boards, or committees? Madam Clerk, is there a clerk's report?
No, sir.
Mayor Arsenault, do you have additional communication?
Only to thank the council for your cooperation and the work that we did to move these matters forward today, and we will continue to work to address the concerns that you have raised about the existing police station.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Does any council members have any additional communication?
Unfortunately, I have one more thing.
I do too. I have one more too.
Okay, well, ladies first, Councilwoman Bowman, and
I
then
yield to the
Councilman,
council lady.
Thank you.
And then,
Mr. Sneed, can you give me an update on Financial Plaza, please?
Financial Plaza?
Yeah, we got
It's beautiful.
some water.
Chief Reese.
The water issues we was having there.
24-inch that was broken?
Yes.
They did make the repair, and unfortunately, the houses I sent you, there weren't even that many that actually were disconnected. Some of them were on a well just because of where they're built and the time they were built. So there was only actually very few homes that were affected, except for some low pressure. But that should be back to normal now. If it's not, please let me know, but it should be back to normal now.
And I want to say thanks for your immediate attention.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Taylor, again, ladies first.
Ladies
Thank
first.
you, thank you, Councilman Butcher, for
Attorney
your
Edwards, did we
chivalry.
go to court Friday regarding Amor Holdings? I mean, did we go?
Yes, ma'am. There was a setting this morning. Unfortunately, our prosecutor is out and has been out this week due to the hospitalization of her mother. So it was continued.
Okay.
The matter
it's
was continued.
Okay.
Councilman Butcher, it's now on you.
I was looking to see if there's anybody.
Patiently waiting, another councilwoman.
Yeah, exactly. Just real quick, and Mr. Dark, you may be able to update me on this. Station 20. That'd be fine. I've gotten about 3. It's odd because you don't hear anything on it, and then I get about 3 or 4 emails in the last week or so on it.
Fire Station 20 remodel is out for bid. All the remediation has been done. Interior demolition has been done. And so the bid for rebuild is out right now.
What kind of time frame are we looking at getting them back out there?
It's been out, well, the bid has been out for about a week.
Okay.
So it's a 30-day bid, get it back. They probably won't start till the first of the year. Now, I'll have to get you the timeline on the contract.
Maybe by this time next year?
I would hope so. I think it's about 9 months.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Shelley.
Hold on, Shelley.
Okay.
Hold on, Shelley. Councilwoman Taylor.
I have Mike.
Oh, you have Mike. Do you have something for Shelley?
Yeah,
Will you Vice Chair Green first, and then Councilwoman Taylor?
Tell us again about what's happening on Monk House with that.
The building there?
Yeah.
That building is what we call substantially complete. We did a walkthrough with the punch list. They're working on some items that they need to, we didn't think we're up to standards, so they're working on those. There'll be some fencing work done, working on all the Wi-Fi, all the connectivity for the officers in there. So we hope that they'll be moving, we've been working on furniture. That's a location that will be permanent, so we'll be doing furniture for them in there, things like that. We think they'll be moving pretty soon, before the end of the year. Okay?
What about the sign?
The sign.
Can we get a good sign?
Yes.
All right.
And then when you're finished today, I'd like to talk to you about Airport Park.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, Shelley.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Taylor.
I just got this information I wanted to share about Councilman Taylor's Economic Development District. Vice Chairman Green, don't get mad at me now. Yours is coming, but we just found out every year one of the world's largest companies, Amazon, has their developers conference, and it's a major event. Their CEO's there, and this year, if you go back and watch it, there was something that was prominently discussed. It was the city of Shreveport in District A. This Amazon facility, and this wasn't part of the grand opening because they were waiting for their international event to let this out. This facility is the most advanced e-commerce facility in the world. It is Amazon's next phase. It is their next version. There's nowhere else like it, and their CEO specifically talked about how this facility in District A.
In District A.
Is the top one in the world and will set the pace for all of their development moving forward. So a huge shout out to the city of Shreveport for everything.
Vice Chair Green.
Mike, I thought you loved me.
We got yours coming though. We're about to sign a
Mike.
PSA.
All right.
We're gonna have yours is coming.
I know, she is so petty. She is so petty. Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Did you need me?
No, I just wanted to let you know that the commission is in the chamber on the 18th, but the 19th, as long as you have the meeting before 4 o'clock, tentatively you can have that date.
Okay.
I thought District F was for first, Vice Chair Green. I guess the A comes first. Are there any other communications?
We thought you had something.
Executive session, there are none. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.